Okay, sorry about that. So as you glide your arms up and down, you'll see, if you take your awareness there, if your ribs are popping up, right? You can feel if your back is completely on the ground, or if you feel your mid back is rising a little bit, just bend your legs and just go like this a couple more times. And on the fifth time, you'll bring your elbows back down and then open your arms nice and wide into a T. Remembering which arm was on top, and then you'll give yourself a big hug with the opposite arm on top, lining up your elbows, and then starting to take your forearms together. So you have eagle arms here. Okay, and if that's difficult, sometimes our range of motion in our shoulders doesn't allow for this. So you can stay in that hug and just glide your elbows up and down. And if you have eagle arms, keep your forearms parallel to the floor as you glide up and down. Interestingly, I practiced this earlier and it was fine. And now I'm having a tough time finding eagle arms on this side. So things change. All right, so on this fifth one, release the arms into a wide T. And then roll to either side and make your way up onto your seat, crossing your ankles, plant your palms in front and come into a tabletop. We can do one cat-cow here. As you inhale, reach your heart forward, gaze up to the sky, and exhale, chin to chest and round. Then find a flat back. Inhale, reach your right arm up to the sky, right hand up to the sky, and then thread the right hand through your left arm, come down to your right ear, your right shoulder, and assess maybe you would like a block underneath your head to support your neck, if that feels better. Otherwise, you can just relax your left arm here. Maybe you extend it forward. That might feel nice for you. Lengthen the left lat while we open up the right shoulder. And now that we're settling into a posture, allowing yourself to come into your practice and to settle into your practice, into this moment. As you watch your experience with awareness, with curiosity. And if it's too much to stay with your hips high, you can always slide this back into a child's pose and do the same thing. It's not going to be as intense on the shoulder, and perhaps that's what you would want. Perhaps you want to be more passive and relaxed. So this would be that. The options are there. And part of watching your experience here, noticing your breath, how you're coming into your experience. The breath is such great feedback for noticing how you are meeting your experience. If it's short or if it's relaxed, long. For these last few moments, if it feels like you can take it up a notch, you can always take your left hand in front of your face and just give a little bit of a press. A little bit of a press on the floor. And now press it all the way into the ground so that your right arm lifts, your head and shoulder lifts, right palm raises to the sky, and then come on down to tabletop. And then one cat cow just to reset the spine as you inhale, reach your heart forward, and exhale, chin to chest and round the back. Inhale to a flat back, pausing here. Reach your left arm up to the sky and thread it through your right arm. And so maybe those right fingertips crawl forward for a little added stretch on your right side body. Perhaps you slide this back into a child's pose. And again, watching how you're meeting your experience, if you're tightening up anywhere, seeing if you can let that go. And checking in with your body again, watching your experience. We have to remind ourselves to do this. And for these last few moments, if you would like, you can take your right hand in front of your face, pressing down on the floor for an added depth of twisting, just for the last few moments. Not much for the shoulder, or not much added for the shoulder, but just while we're here, adding that twist. reaching your left hand up to the sky, coming back into your tabletop, and finding a cat-cow right here as you inhale, heart forward, gazing up. Exhale, chin to chest and round the back. And then coming back into your flat back. You'll walk your knees back some and come all the way down onto your belly for a Sphinx pose just to start. In your Sphinx pose, straighten your right arm, lifting the right elbow off of the ground, and then thread your left arm underneath. So we're not coming onto the left side, right? We're staying as square as possible down to the ground and just adding a little bit of pressure here on the left shoulder. And if you would like a block underneath your head to support your head here, and that will also take a little pressure off of the shoulder. If you need even less pressure on the shoulder, that's when you would start to maybe place your right hand near your head and then just kind of press yourself over onto your left side some, and then you can relax your head down on a block or on the floor. So you're getting still a little bit of opening, just not as much compression in the front of the shoulder if that's uncomfortable. If you have a pillow nearby, like how we would do Sphinx with pillows under our chest, you can do that and then thread your arm in front of the pillow. That will also take away a lot of pressure and you can still be square to the mat. Nice. And again, just watching your experience as you're in this for a few moments, few minutes at that, and see how it changes. Like I know for me, it began pretty tense. There was a lot of gripping. And now I'm relaxing so I can even feel the middle of my back, the rhomboids start to open. Noticing if you're gripping in the neck or the jaw, telling your body it's okay. It's time to relax. And then coming back onto your right elbow, unthread the left, finding your Sphinx pose for just a second as that left shoulder finds blood flow again. And then lift your left elbow by pressing your hand into the ground. Thread your right arm through. And again, squaring the shoulders. If that feels okay, if not, you can lean slightly to the right. If that's still not okay, you can grab a pillow or underneath your chest, right arm in front of the pillow. And maybe a block beneath your forehead might just do the trick. And notice if your shoulder is like hiking up into your ear and your arm is like practically in front of your face. Work to lower the shoulder and the arm down, and so that your palm is facing up towards the sky. The back of your hand is what's making contact to the ground below. So that you're finding external rotation in the shoulder. Checking back in with your body, with your breath, with your mind, your heart. What is this moment like for you? And then pressing your elbow down so you can slide your arm out. And coming back into your Sphinx pose just for a moment. And with the Sphinx pose, like you're sliding your elbows and hands forward, but without actually doing it, just pressing the energy that way. And then your shoulders down away from your ears. And then come all the way down onto your belly. Your head comes down. Slide your palms underneath your shoulders and press up to hands and knees. Your hands are going to walk out either to the edges of the mat or right outside of the mat, depends on your body proportions, but you want like a wide stance in your hands. Then you're going to drop one shoulder looking over to that side. And then dropping the other shoulder looking to the opposite side. We'll do that again on each side. Right shoulder dips. And then left shoulder dips. And last time, right shoulder. And left shoulder. And then coming back to your tabletop, take your knees together and your feet together. And we're gonna grab our blocks for this one. You might decide that it's too much and you'll take the blocks away, but you'll take your blocks on the lowest setting, shoulder width apart, enough space between the blocks for your head. And you're gonna find a child's pose here. Before you drop your head, walk your elbows onto the blocks. Hands can come together, and then just drop your head between your elbows. And then you can bend into your elbows. Or maybe, this is another option. You don't have to bend into your elbows. Your arms can just be lifted here. Or you can bend into your elbows and send your palms back. This sweatshirt was not a good choice for this class. Getting in the way. So yeah, your other option would be, if this is too much, even straight elbows on the blocks. If it's too much, then you might get rid of the blocks in total, and you can still bend your elbows. Hands can come back. Something I like to play with here is fingertips to the sky, and then just kind of taking turns, because I have a tough time externally rotating my shoulders. So if I press my right hand into my right wrist so that it opens up a little bit more, if that makes sense, you might want to just gaze over here for a second, because otherwise it just comes in automatically, right? My shoulders, they want to internally rotate. So if I help it without it being painful, right? We're not trying to get to a painful spot here, but just helping it to externally rotate while keeping my ribs in. Child's pose forces ribs to stay in, meaning we're moving into our true range of motion. There's no space to cheat here. And then you might switch if you're doing what I'm doing. And just pressing the opposite wrist out. Like if you ever do forearm plank or weights over your head, like for tricep presses, dolphin, headstand with your elbows down on the ground, and you notice that it's hard to keep the elbows in and biceps by your ears, it's because of this. And doing this, pressing out, forcing your shoulders to be in external rotation really helps. And then from here, you can straighten your elbows, lift your head up, and walk your hands back. So now we'll take this a step further. If that was a lot, you can do it again, or or if your elbows were on the ground, you can try elbows on blocks. But we're going to move this into puppy dog. So coming forward with your hips up in the sky and then letting your head and your chest come down to the ground, elbows move forward. And again, you're going to, oh man, this sweatshirt. Again, you're going to just bend the elbows. Thank goodness. Okay, for this one shape, I'm going to take the sweatshirt off because the sleeves are so big, they're knocking my headphones out of my ears. So again, you can, if it's too much to bend your elbows, you can actually still do puppy dog, but with your elbows straight, it's still quite an opening. Finding what works for you. What shape can you get into where you can relax and let go a little bit? If you find yourself like gripping a lot, then you might want to explore taking it a step back. You might even notice here like which shoulder is tighter. And where is that coming from? You know, I know like my right lat is definitely tighter. It's lifting my right shoulder girdle up. But I have less range of motion in my left shoulder. So, you know, exploring these different shapes, different angles, we can get feedback as to how our shoulder girdle is doing or whatever part of the body we're working on. And then you can take that later and, you know, do some more stretches in that area. And then straightening your arms. They're not already. Working your way back into your tabletop. And you can come back to sitting on your heels. Maybe shaking your arms out a little bit. Might have been a lot on your shoulders. And then come into onto your backs, lying down into like a shavasana shape. And from here, we're simply going to work our arms overhead and grab opposite elbows and let them relax back. And notice, that's a lot of, like, for me, I can't grab my opposite elbows, but getting as close to the elbow as you can without being in pain, without pinching the tops of the shoulders. Sometimes that compression is too much. And then again, notice how much your mid back might be lifting in order to achieve this. Can you use your breath to allow the mid back, the front ribs, to be heavier? So taking in some conscious breaths. With that exhale, imagining a melting, a sense of melting, the back sides of the ribs getting heavier. You might even explore bending your knees, feet planted, might help the back be more grounded. And then you're simply going to switch. Switch the grip, opposite arm on top, noticing which way is easier, where you can get closer to your elbows. And then releasing that, allow your legs to be long if they're not already, and then walk your heels out to the edges of your mat. Take your left ankle to your right, and then move your head and your shoulders over to the right, creating a banana stretch. If you can go for opposite elbows with whichever arm on top feels better, then do that. Another option is to grab hold of your left wrist with your right hand and slightly pull that over to the right. You might lock your left ankle on top of your right just to help sustain the shape. And if you're going to go for opposite elbows, just just get as close as you can. So we're just taking what we just did a little bit further into this bend, stretching the lat with it, tricep, just a little bit further. checking in with your body, noticing where you're gripping. Simply watching your experience without any judgment and with kindness. And then we'll walk feet back to center, head and shoulders back to center. Finding the corners of your mat again with your feet. Walk your right foot to the left, head and shoulders to the left. And this time, the opposite arm on top, or again, you can grab onto your right wrist with your left hand and slightly pull it to the left. You might lock this banana shape in place by sending your right ankle over your left. And just stay in tune with your body, hearing what it needs. Maybe it was able to do some of those shoulder stretches before, and now it's just over it, like my right shoulder is. And so you might take it back a couple notches, and that's okay. So we began with opening up the rear of our shoulders, the posterior, the rhomboids, and then into the lats, and somewhat the fronts of the shoulders, the pecs. And once again, walking your heels back into center, head and shoulders back into center. Bend your knees, feet are going to plant, and you're going to roll to either side and make your way up, just so we can set up this next shape. It's a heart opener. So I like, it's all dependent on you. I personally like the block that goes behind my shoulder blades on level 2. And then for my head on level 3, you can explore and see what height the blocks are best for you. and then just walk it back. So the bottom of the block behind shoulders, the bottom of it is going to go where your bra strap is. And then that'll open up your chest. You might start with bent knees, or you can just right away go into lengthening your legs, whatever feels good. And for this one today, we're going to tee the arms, palms face the sky. See what it's like to lengthen the arms and then let them relax from there. If you want, you can explore with reaching your arms overhead, cactusing your arms, interlacing your palms behind your neck. All of these are great chest openers, opening up the pecs, which is really what's needed for most of our lifestyles, to open up our shoulders. We're usually hunched over a laptop, driving. I guess we don't drive so much anymore, but looking at our phone, just very close in the front body. Shoulders moving forward usually to achieve that stance. So any of these, arms overhead, snow angels, find that dynamic movement. And allowing home base to be arms in a T. Noticing if breath has been shortened at all from blocks pressing into the lungs. Just being mindful. And then whichever side you have more room on, you'll take that arm by your side and just roll right off of these blocks, making your way up onto your seat and moving the blocks out of the way. And we have one last shape, two sides. So coming onto your belly. This one's broken wing. So I'm going to give you a few options. All right, here, I'll just turn around this way so that We're on the same side and you can see me. So on your belly, your right arm reaches out. It's in line, your hand is in line with your shoulder. It's not above your shoulder. It can be below your shoulder if you know your shoulder's too tight for this. You can try it and find out. So you're going to just roll onto your right side. And then you might step your left foot back behind you. You might bring both knees up towards your chest to lessen the angle, which helps if you need a modification. And if your shoulder is like coming way up into your ear, definitely lessen the angle, either by coming back onto your belly before lowering your hand below the shoulder, or taking both knees up into your chest to lessen the angle that way. And then coming back onto your belly. And we'll switch sides. So being mindful, left hand is directly out from your shoulder. Maybe it's lower than the shoulder, definitely not higher than the shoulder. Then you'll turn onto your left side and assess. That might be too much. Maybe knees come into the chest to aid with that. Maybe you come back onto your belly to lower the hand below the shoulder. And your hand is facing down, of course. Your palm is touching the ground. So we're continuing that external rotation of the shoulder, opening up the front and the chest. And then making your way back onto your belly. And you can either make your way into your Shavasana for Yoga Nidra, or we'll take a 5-minute break just to readjust. So let's see, it's 5:55, so at 6 p.m. We'll come back. Thank you, Anya. See you guys soon. Well, it's just you and me, Arden. Would you like me to do this like the full sleepy nidra, or do you want a regular?
Let's do the regular.
Regular. Okay.
Otherwise, I fall asleep when I wake up in 2 hours.
Sorry.
Otherwise, I fall asleep and then I wake up at midnight.
Well, I hope that you fall asleep with just this one also.
I do sometimes, but sometimes I just get really relaxed. And then I do what I
Absolutely.
need to do to go to bed normal. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's just do that then.
Okay, thanks.
Of course. It's just you, so it's your choice. So let's begin by lying down and feeling your body here and now. I'm so sorry. I'm going to stop the recording. It's going to be a really loud stopping recording.